Human connection is a deep bond formed between people when they feel valued. During an authentic human connection, people build trust and exchange positive energy. Human connection allows you to feel heard and valued and provides you a sense of belonging. Daniel Liebeskind is the founder and CEO of Topia, a fully customizable and socially based virtual gathering platform, which he launched in 2020. The platform experienced instant success by the summer. They hosted over 25,000 people and acted as a co-sponsor for Burning Man, providing virtual event and meeting space for Fortune 100 companies, IPO celebrations, music festivals, birthday parties, and reunions. Liebeskind also has an extensive history in building things, inventing things, and using technology as a catalyst. He joined me this week to tell me about the value of human connection, the role Topia plays in the whole equation, and how we can use technology to advance the world forward. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Daniel, I'm so excited to be with you today to talk to you all about Topia and your work in the space of technology. Great to be with you this afternoon, and good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks for having me. It's really an honor. It's a pleasure, and excited for our conversation.
I know. Yeah, me too. Tell me about Topia, buddy. I know it's a fully customizable platform that tries to integrate and advance the need for human connection. So tell me all about the platform, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. The simplest way to describe it is basically Utopia is a platform for creating worlds that you can customize to look and feel like whatever you want. So it's sort of virtual worlds that you can then have thousands of people, hundreds, thousands, whatever size your community is, come into this space, and they can actually move around just like a video game. But as they get closer to other people, they'll connect on audio and video. And when they move away, they disconnect on audio and video. And so you can have 1,000 people. We hosted virtual Burning Man last year and the year before, for example. And you might have 1,000 people in one space, but you're only connecting to the 3, 4, 5, up to 10 people that are closest to you in a small group. So you're having this intimate human connection within the context of a much bigger space. And then, the world around you actually provides a lot of the impetus or the meaning, the context around the kind of connection and games and experiences that you're having.
Yeah, and I know that your journey towards entrepreneurship and technology started at an early age, buddy, and it took you from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. You now, of course, live in LA, so I'm curious to know about your journey and major impact when it comes to entrepreneurship and technology. I'm curious.
Yeah, so from a young age, I was building video games. I was building websites. I was sort of being trained to maybe you could say rebel against authority or kind of question everything. And then I went into finance, like you said, and I went into Lehman Brothers, Barclays, did sort of the finance track. In about 2013, I decided to leave to just start building things again, because that's really where my passion is. And so for the last decade, almost a decade, I've just been really focused on honing my skills, building products, really honing skills by building products, by launching them, wearing lots of different hats. kind of doing end-to-end builds, rapid prototyping. I had a dev shop for a while. So I built about 25 different applications over the last 9 years. In fact, one in 2015 that was a startup. We went through Y Combinator Fellowship. It was my first metaverse platform called Body. And so, I've even been doing things around the evolution of the internet towards more real-time human connection for a long time.
And tell me about the value of human connection and the role that technology plays in it, in your view, buddy. I'm curious.
Yeah, great question. The role of technology in human connection has actually been quite profound. The ability, if you think, back to being able to make a phone call, right? And that was a technology that really unlocked your ability to have synchronous long distance communication, real time communication with people across great distances. Before that, it was all asynchronous communication, like sending a postcard or sending mail and then receiving mail sometime later. And so that's one of the ways to actually think about the asynchronous technology or asynchronous world versus synchronous world. And synchronous world, coming together real time is really how we evolved as humans to interact with one another. And then when you fast forward to what's happened over the last 10 years, the asynchronous internet of social media platforms, email, have been really amazing in breaking down some of the location-based constraints around communication. But where it's kind of lacking is in the authentic ability to connect with people face to face, have eye-to-eye conversation, have experiences together. You see technologies like Zoom that have emerged, especially during these an increasingly remote workforce time, that have allowed people to actually connect real time. And frankly, this whole pandemic would have been very different if we didn't have technologies like this that allowed us to connect real time and actually see each other. But what they're kind of missing is the context, is the experience, is the fun. And so that's really what something like Topia is aiming to do, is make it so that you can have fun, you can have social experiences with people, and still have that real time human connection with them.
Yeah, and for you personally, buddy, I know that the 2008 stock market and home crash had a major impact on your life and during your college days. So can you tell me about that experience for me?
Yeah, so that's fun times. In university, I studied finance. I got into Lehman Brothers as an intern. And so while I was interning there, the whole financial collapse was sort of happening around us. And so historically, it was once you got an internship, you were kind of just a shoo-in to get a full-time job. And then, that was a really great job from my perspective. That was kind of like the thing that I was striving for. And what happened with the collapse is everything got way more competitive and way more uncertain. In fact, I got an offer. I was in a slim minority of people that actually got offers, because they went from sort of making 90% of the offers to like 10% of people got offers while we were summering, which was pretty crazy. And we got offers, and then I went back to school and Lehman collapsed and went bankrupt. And everybody that had been given jobs thought that they lost them. My plan was actually to move to China and study Shaolin Kung Fu. And so, I was sort of set on doing that. And then, Barclays bought some of the employees from Lehman. And so I went there. I was doing the finance thing. That really shaped me in my professionalism. I learned a lot of accounting, a lot of finance related things, how businesses tick. And that then was the stepping stone to get into a late stage venture capital growth equity firm called Summit Partners, where I was talking to entrepreneurs every day. And so, that experience really was profound for me, because a lot of these entrepreneurs that were very successful that I was speaking with, I realized they were just normal people. There wasn't really anything that exceptional. They weren't genius IQ. They were normal people that were focused on solving a problem, and they were really passionate. The really good ones were really passionate about whatever the problem space was that they were in. And it was very inspiring for me. So, that whole experience made me more professional, made me very inspired, gave me the confidence to just leave and start building things again. And so, yeah, really, really wild time.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel, part of my professional background is assisting individuals with physical disabilities to find and maintain employment. I actually have what's called spastic quadriplegia, cerebral palsy myself. Simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And one of the things in the work that I do with individuals with disabilities, I've found that the advancement of technology has really helped to close the gap when it comes to employing individuals with disabilities. So I'm wondering your thoughts on what sort of a net positive it is for individuals with disabilities to embrace technology when looking for work.
Yeah, I think that the reality is that one of the greatest ways for people to embrace technology, or one of the most powerful ways to embrace technology, is to actually come together as community. And it's really hard to be alone in this world, in any world, but especially in today's world, technology is sort of polarizing. It can connect people. It also can make them feel more lonely, more alone. And so, I think by embracing technologies that allow you to connect as humans, as people, and not feel alone, feel that you actually have this community of people, no matter where your physical body lives, being able to connect with people all over the world that have the same interests, that have the same problems, and really, be part of this global community, and not even just have it be. It can just be text-based, but it can be video-based. It can be, more experiential. And by doing that, if you live in a little town where you're the only person with an interest, with a disability like yours, that can feel very isolating. And technology can be the conduit to find many, many more people that have that same issue or interest that you have. And that can be really powerful for people to find that kind of community.
Yeah, and talking about community and igniting passions, I'm curious for you personally, if you had to describe the love that ignites your passion for innovation in a couple of words, what do you think that those would be? And why are you so passionate about what you do? I'm curious.
I've always really enjoyed when I build something. I think of myself a little bit like Harry Potter, or really not even just myself, but anybody that's a developer that learns to code. You kind of become a sorcerer. You become a conjurer. You can have an idea. You can find a problem or have an idea or be talking to friends and feel some inspiration. And then you can craft something and then let those people that collaborated with you or that brainstormed about it or that have similar problems actually try the thing that you manifested into the world. And you can see the impact it has. And for me, having people use something and then get joy from it, or really connect with it or be inspired by the thing that I created has always been incredibly powerful for me. And I would say, I feel very fortunate with Topia. I've built a lot of things, and people have never connected with any of the things I've built in the way that they connect with Topia. And part of that is just that I've gotten better at building things. Part of it is that I have an amazing team, which I historically was a little bit more of like a lone wolf type person. I have an amazing team. We're solving a real problem for people. And so those kinds of things are very inspiring to me.
Yeah, and when we talk about imprint and impact, I'm curious, when you look at your life and the scope of it, buddy, where do you think you want to have the biggest imprint on the world? I'm curious.
That's a great question. For me, I've always been really passionate about creating opportunities for creators. And I wouldn't even say creating opportunities, but helping creative types, artists, musicians, experienced designers. There's so many different people that have these creative abilities or inclinations, but it's really hard to be a creator. And I was sort of raised to believe that being a creator is actually the hardest thing you can be. And that, going into something like finance is the right path. And one of the reasons for that is that it's really hard to gain any kind of financial freedom or stability for most creators. The top percentile are able to achieve that, but for the most part, it's a work of passion. It's a work of of inspiration. And I think that as we go forward into the future and humanity merges with artificial intelligence, a lot of the pattern, the routine kind of work goes away from being uniquely human, and creativity is really important. So as a legacy, as a thing that is really important to me during my lifetime, is to inspire even people that are young right now to go into creative pursuits, and not be afraid to be creators. And I think that we've already seen a revolution in the internet in creator empowerment, creator ecosystems, and that's just going to continue. And I think when you couple that with changing education to things like problem solving, you have problem solving and creativity. That is the hallmark of entrepreneurship. And so, I think inspiring people to be more entrepreneurial, inspire them to be more creative. Those are the kinds of things that I'm hoping to do with the technologies that I help to build.
Yeah, and to that point, Daniel, I'm also curious to ask you, I don't have to tell you, depending on which area of technology you go in, you can make a lot of money. And I'm sure that's appealing to a lot of people. But to your last answer, I'm also curious to follow up to ask you, how do you think we get more young people excited about embracing a career in technology?
Yeah. So technology is a lot of different parts. I think the entrepreneur side, one of the things that most entrepreneurs say is that it would be they're being entrepreneurs because they can't be something else. They can't work for somebody else, or they feel really inspired by a problem and nobody else is solving it. And so they need to problem solve and figure out solutions for this thing. And so, and in either case, really, no matter what, across the board, entrepreneurship is really about problem solving. It's about identifying a problem, coming up with potential solutions, iterating, experimenting, not being afraid to fail. And so I think, teaching kids to problem solve, teaching them to not be afraid of failure. I think a lot of our traditional schooling that was really constructed for the Industrial Revolution age does not prepare people for what is coming with the technology boom, with creativity being the hallmark of what it will mean to be successful, I believe, in the future, even right now in many contexts. And so, I think technology becomes more of a creative pursuit. It becomes less of just learning to code and having that be the singular thing. It's going to become, I believe, a sort of base requirement, just like learning math. It's going to be a base requirement to learn some sort of coding capability. And then the people that are going to really excel are the problem solvers, are the creatives.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel, I'm curious to ask you about if they made your life into a movie, but what do you think you would want the main plot line to be? And what do you want people to take away as the main message to your life story as well?
Wow, that's profound. I've always thought that you really want to, and I've tried to live my life. I guess one sort of anecdote is that I've been called an experience junkie by people. I seek experiences. I think that my personal belief is that you want your life to have as much surface area as possible, and really, think about not time as your most precious asset, but experiences, memorable experiences as your most precious asset. And frankly, memorable experiences with other people in social contexts. And so this conversion of your time to experience, that is something that you want to optimize throughout your life. And one of the ways to do that, one of the ways to have a high conversion ratio of time to meaningful experiences, memorable experiences, is to actually push yourself into kind of an uncomfortable zone whenever you can, right? And not into like the red zone where you throw up the flag and you're out, or you shut down, but to leave your job if you're not feeling like you're growing anymore, to leave your city and make new friends. It's uncomfortable to do that. and to to do things that you're like, it would be easier for me not to do it. That to me is, I guess there's a movie with Justin Timberlake where time is like an asset that's a ticker on your arm. It would be interesting to make a movie that instead of time being this asset, it's kind of like a video game. Your life is a video game. And as you get experience, you actually level up, and you're basically converting time into XP and gaining levels. And yeah, that's kind of how I look at life.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you think we can use technology to sort of close the equitable gap towards opportunity? Because, I think that talent is an equally distributable commodity, but the access to opportunity isn't necessarily readily available to all people. So I'm curious to ask you, how do you think we can use technology to build a more equitable future?
I think that technology actually tears down a lot of the location-based physical constraints that have existed. And so where you live used to make a huge difference in how much money you could make, just straight up. If you lived in New York City, you had more opportunity than if you lived in rural India, right? And with technology, we actually rip that down and make it much more global. I actually think that things like Zoom, or the ability to come together real time, further tears down some of those location-based constraints, and makes it so that you can be part of a company, you can be part of the gig economy. With creator ecosystems like Topia, you can participate in creating things that bring people together. Really, you can find whatever you're inspired by. You can find platforms where you can contribute in different ways and get value in a way that historically was not possible. Before technology really wasn't possible. You worked and you made money, and you were able to contribute to whatever your local regional ecosystem was. And so I'm very excited. I think we're at a very interesting snapshot right now with a lot of the creator ecosystems that exist, with a lot of the gig economies, with a lot of the ways to contribute to the global ecosystem. But we're just at the beginning of a lot of this stuff. And when we even think about Web3 and public databases being able to contribute to a shared backend and then have different applications that can make value of the things that you create, we're just in the very early days. And I think that opportunity is going to be massive for people all over the world, and really unlock the billions of people that that have such potential energy right now.
Yeah, and Daniel, I know that you live out there in LA, buddy. So I'm curious to ask you, what's the best part of living in Hollywood, and how do you measure living a fulfilled life? I'm curious.
The best part of living in LA is probably just the access to people that inspire me. I really enjoy interactions with people that are passionate about things, and there's a lot of people that are very passionate in LA, in the Hollywood area. And I actually live in West Hollywood, so I am pretty close to Hollywood. For me, it is all about experiences. It's about having impact and creating joy. For me, it's not about moving up a corporate ladder or anything like that. I'm really a product builder, and I'm a problem solver. So a fulfilling life, from my perspective, is being able to contribute something, build something that really inspires people. That inspires creatives, that inspires other entrepreneurs, developers that can, create their own things. So that would be one way that life is fulfilling from my perspective. And then, I think having real meaningful connection, having a network of people that you love, that love you, and that can be, family, it can be friends, it can be interactions with strangers that are meaningful. Those are the kinds of things that I find very fulfilling.
Absolutely. And Daniel, finally, tell me, if people want to get connected with Topia, with you personally, what's the best way they can do that, buddy?
Yeah, so if you go to topia.io, then you can find our website. We have all of our socials at the bottom, so people can just go there and check it out. And I'm constantly in there. You can also go to topia.io/welcome. That's kind of like our welcome lobby. We always have people hanging out in there. So if you want to just try out the platform, connect with some people, have some experiences and conversations, then check it out.
Fantastic. Well, I really enjoyed our discussion about Topia and the advancement of technology, buddy. Your time on my behalf and energy in the space are most appreciated. And I want to thank you for being here today, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me. It really was a wonderful conversation. You asked some great questions. They were very inspiring.